What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is having a happy new year so far. Today I have 5 jumbo packs of 1990 Topps baseball, and I think I've mentioned before on the show, when I first started collecting, I started collecting in 1989, and I liked the 1989 Donruss and Topps. Those were like the staples, and then Upper Deck came out, and everybody had to have that. But the real excitement, actually, when I was thinking back on that time, was those sets have been out, and you were collecting those, obviously, and Fleer and Score and the other ones as well. But after you've been doing that for a while, the next like exciting thing was, when's 1990 series coming out? When's the 1990 sets coming out? And I remember 1990 Topps being the first one I saw in the store, and that being a cool design, something new. So when you're really young and you're collecting, you have these memories of like those first sets that you collected, and then that next time going into the store for the following year and finally seeing the new stuff on the shelf. And I remembered the 1990 Topps design and just how cool it was to see something new finally after that first year of kind of the same stuff. Now, it's just more of a nostalgia rip that we're doing here. I thought the jumbo packs would be kind of fun because I don't really remember doing these too much. I obviously did the wax packs because those were more prevalent. I'm sure I opened this in the rack packs at some point. I just don't remember it. So I thought this would be a fun little rip to do. I got 5 of them here, and let's dive in. 106 cards in each one of these. They have this 2 special rookies. The Griffey card is included in there. Stick of gum, obviously, but 106 cards in each one, so it's a pretty good deal for 1990. I mean, if I saw these at the time, I probably would have been all over them, for sure, just because the amount of cards you're getting in these jumbos. I think the rack packs from that year have 45 cards in them, so these would be the way to go if you were going to do any of the bigger products besides the wax packs. And this will be the pack with our gum in it. We can get rid of that dude. And this is not going to be easy. There we go. And this will be our rookie stack. Right. Dirk Lilliquist will be the first one showing. And I actually went through to see on all of these if the Griffey card was actually showing, because there's a whole other angle there where if you have the Griffey showing, you might want to consider having the pack graded. But nonetheless, I didn't see any Griffey showing, so we'll go ahead and open all of them. Derek Lilliquist leads off with the rookie insert, followed by Jerome Walton. Boy, the 89 Upper Deck Jerome Walton, that was a hot chase card when I first started collecting. All right, here's another guy that was a big one to have in 1990, Todd Zeile, followed by Nolan Ryan, Bobby Valentine, Tony Castillo, Sean Hillegas, and there's the Larry Walker rookie, Hensley Meulens, Dick Hauser, Eric Plunk, Steve Cummings, Charlie Leibrandt. Hey, Sammy Sosa rookie. How about that? A little bit of edge wear on the bottom, but other than that, nice looking card. Matt Williams, Jim Leyland manager card, Felix Jose, Sandy Alomar, Lance Johnson, Chris Bosio, Steve Lyons, Daryl Evans, Jose Rio, Keith Hernandez, pre-Seinfeld, Kurt Young, Jeff Hewson, Frank Robinson, Jim Rice, Mark Williamson, and flip here. I see a Rhino down there. Steve Fry, Andres Thomas, Jimmy Key, Don August, David Cohn, Randy Reedy, Scott Fletcher, Gary Pettis, Jay Bell, Ryan Sandberg, Craig Reynolds, Harold Reynolds, Mike Smithson, Rick Shue, Luis Aquino, Charlie O'Brien, Domingo Ramos, Dave Magadan, Tom Hankey, Gene Nelson, Greg Litton, R.J. Reynolds, Joe Hesketh, Scott Geraltz, Mark Thurman, Rick Dempsey, and what we have here. This would be Vince Coleman's 89 Record Breakers insert. John Candelaria, Donnie Baseball, followed by John Kruk, Steve Carter, Ricky Horton, Mike Schmidt, Turn Back the Clock, Tom Glavine, Jack Morris, Jimmy Jones, Checklist number 3, Doug Strange, Delano DeShields, Louis Meadows, Glenn Allen Hill, Juan Augusto. Hey, the Bart Giamatti memorial card. Just only found out recently that his son is the actor Paul Giamatti. How about that? Todd Froworth, Randy Myers, Tom Pagnozzi, Kent Herbeck, Chad Kruger, Mike Maddox, Deion Sanders rookie, Kevin Hickey, Checklist 1 of 6, Scott Bradley, another flip, Dan Quisenberry, Bob Malaki, Charlie Huff, Odie McDowell, Lloyd Mosby, Paul Gibson, Ron Kittle, Felix Fermin, Rob Dibble of the Nasty Boys, Terry Pendleton, Paul O'Neill, Rick Sutcliffe, Billy Ripken, Alex Trevino, Juan Samuel, Jose DeLeon, Steve Rosenberg, Terry Mulholland, Franklin Stubbs, Spike Owen, Dave Valley, Ron Hassey, Jody Davis, Doug Rader, and Dan Petrie and Mike Davis will wind out the first jumbo pack. So, as you can see, pretty big collation. Some stars, some rookies. It's going to be like that the whole way. So I might go through these a little bit faster just because we may not see some notables for a while here. There's also, in this set, a ton of error cards. And they are a blacklist print error card, which means, well, partial blacklist print, which means some of the borders on these cards weren't fully printed out. And there's about a dozen cards in here that have it. They're very rare, hard to find, highly collectible. I didn't see any of the names pop out in that first pack, but I'm sure somewhere along the way we'll stop and analyze to see if we have one of those players. Alright, let's dive in to this pack. And there's another Derek Lilliquist 89 rookie insert right off the bat, and followed by Kevin Brown, and followed by Frank Thomas. And the Frank Thomas no-name card, obviously, that's in here, maybe the biggest Grail baseball card of the 90s. And Probably not going to hit that one, but there is a blacklist variation of this card. He's one of the dozen or so players that have that. His is on the name right there, either above or below the name, can't remember, but you'll see that black line there kind of missing, and then it picks back up on the edges. But this is just the regular base Frank Thomas rookie. And Tony Gwynn All-Star. Saberhagen All-Star. Carlton Fisk All-Star. Jeff Juden. Cal Ripken Record Breaker. Wade Boggs All-Star. A lot more All-Star cards in this one. Ozzie Smith All-Star. Stan Belinda. Rob Murphy. Not seeing any of these cards pop out of the blacklist variation. Joe McGrain is actually one of the guys who has a partial blacklist. And sometimes they'll actually be the borders up here, the little black lines there. And basically they're all partials in this set. I think 82, and then some of the 60 sets also have the same thing, where the entire bar will be missing. But on these ones in the 1990 series, it's just going to be a portion of this black bar, either across the top, around the name. It's basically a printing error that's actually considered an error because they did go back and correct it. Robin Yount, Hall of Famer. Ken Griffey Jr. Cup card is in this series, and that one goes for around $1,000 in a PSA 10. So that'd be a nice find if we pull one of those. And yeah, these All-Star cards, a couple of those are actually in the blacklist. I believe one of them is this guy here, Craig Biggio. Don't see any black missing on this one. There is a little bit of a print blemish down there, but these all look like a regular base. But yeah, I remember seeing this design, and you know, the 89 top set wasn't a huge one for me out of all of them. I really liked the 89 Donruss. I bought a lot of that as a kid. Upper Deck, if I could afford it, I would go for that. Tops I would always get somehow because it was cheaper, but it wasn't like a favorite. It was mainly because it was cheap. But then when they came out with this 1990 series, it was just such a radical design. They kind of bit what Donruss did with all the color in the 89 series and kind of did the same thing with their 90 version, and it worked. It was, and I think, again, like I said, I think they were the first company to release their 1990 series. Could be wrong about that, but that's the first one I definitely remember seeing on the shelves. And this is going to have the same problems that all the cards of the era have, is the gum stains and edge wear, centering. Although the centering on these hasn't been too bad, I will say a lot of the stuff I'm pulling kind of has a ton of edge wear on it. And you can see it like just catches your eye like across the bottom there. Just some of it wipes off, but for the most part, it's there. Alright, Big Cat ends the pack off. Alright, so you can kind of get an idea of the collation in terms of what the inserts were. Again, the big rookies are going to be Frank Thomas and Sammy Sosa. But that aside, the Griffey cards in here, the rookie insert as well as the cup card are always big chases. And like I said, if you see a pack with these with the Griffey showing, obviously people will sell those for more, have them graded, things of that nature. And it just kind of increases the value. And I gotta imagine these Topps Jumbos probably aren't as prevalent as the wax. So if you had one of these with a Griffey showing on top, that would probably command a little bit more money. Alright, next pack. Hey, there's the Jerome Walton Cup card. And yeah, all these cards have that, the ones that were in the gum pack have that, gum residue all over it from being in there for 30 plus years. Another Sosa rookie. Rick Honeycutt, his 1990 card in the PSA 10 just sold for over $300, which leads me to believe it was purchased by a set collector. This is a set that people are now getting to putting together in PSA 10s, and the grade population just isn't there yet, so some of these commons actually command a lot of money. Print error on that Clemens. Yeah, centering, surface. Corners are pretty good on this. But centering, surface, and edges. And right as I say corners are good, this Higuera's got a nice ding in the corner. Biggio. He's got a couple cards in the set, and I know one of them is a blacklist, but I'm not sure which one, and this one looks pretty good. Hershiser. This is another one in that PSA 10. Can bring some money. Denny Martinez. For some reason, the hobby has not caught up to him. Hall of Famer. I find his stuff really cheap and surprised because he was such a dominant guy when I was younger. Alright, pack 4. Topps didn't do anyone any favors busting into these as a kid. this guy with our 89 rookies, Steve Wilson and Pete Harnish. Really off center. It's kind of funny seeing the jumbos because like you go pack by pack in the wax, and one pack will be center, and the next one will be off. But in these jumbos, they're all just collated together, so you get some really nice centering, and then you have some really off the charts stuff going on. Straw and Bonds have followed each other once before in this rip. So that's a straw is a tell for Bonds, I guess. Alright, now we can do number 4. Hey, Gary Sheffield, 89 rookie. Followed by, looks like Ken Hill. And yeah, BGO, this is not a blacklist either. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of the rookie cards, the actual rookies, like the future stars and stuff. Those are actually not so much in this, which is interesting. I wonder how much like Greg Jeffries card goes for now. Everybody makes a joke of them going to college on that one. He was a popular player, but now these cards have sort of taken back off in value. I'm kind of wondering if his stuff is picked up at all. He wouldn't probably, by the time grading came around, he probably wouldn't have been one of the first players you'd think of to do that with, especially because you were so let down by that point. Walt Weiss, used to love this guy as a kid growing up. And Ramon Martinez, another guy I really liked. And it looks like we do have a draft pick card coming up here. Jeff Jackson. Can't say I remember that name too well. And this one's clean too. No black. black, I should say. Alright, well that is the end of the 4th pack. Moving on to our last jumbo. So definitely a fun, again, more nostalgic type of rip for me. This is, again, one of those sets that I just remember as a kid being stoked on when it first came out. And, you know, now it's finally coming back around again to where the junk wax cards are a little bit more valuable, and with grading and everything, you know, you can get some good pulls in these. The price has gone up a lot more on certain series, certain sets. I just paid, I think for these I paid about $12, I think, for each one, each pack. Not cheap, but you still get 106 cards in each pack. Definitely fun to go through and see all the old names and stuff you used to see as a kid. Very familiar product. Alright, last pack, and it's Kevin Brown again, followed by Greg Harris. And we got the Tyler Houston draft pick card right there. I think a draft pick has followed both of the rookie, the glossy inserts, so that's probably a thing. Johnny Bench turned back the clock card. Fred Lynn turned back the clock card. We have Orion coming up. Oh, Spanky Lavalier. Now this is an interesting one. He's one very popular card in the PSA 10. One just recently sold for around $460. This one's going to be a little bit off center top to bottom, but again, just kind of funny how some of these cards, you know, you're going through them and you don't realize, like, hey, that's centered pretty well, and there's no edge wear, and the corners are right, you know. Again, grade population is really low, and a lot of these common stars, the guys building out the sets will pay top dollar for them. And this was through an auction, so there was people actually bidding to get it, and it got all the way up to $460. Ricky Henderson, Hall of Famer. Paul Molitor, Hall of Famer. Another Ryan card. Ron Ventura rookie. Followed by his nemesis, Mr. Ryan. I guess you can make a good argument that for 12 bucks, 106 cards is a good deal. Just again, wish the quality control was a little bit better back in those days than it became. And down to the last 3 cards. So yeah, overall, just another nostalgia rip, fun. Good to see all the old names and revisit my childhood. And hope you guys had fun. We got a couple good rookies. Got a bunch of Ryan cards. So probably go back through those and see if any of them command any value. Didn't see a lot of great quality in here, but in terms of the grading principles, but yeah, I'll go back through them and check them out. And if anything sticks out or I get a good hit in there, I'll let you guys know. Thanks for watching, and we will see you later.